I hope you enjoy this video about printing with Akua inks on the 16 by 20 Gellef plate. It's really fun. It gives different results from your regular acrylics. So have a watch, and if you have questions about Akua ink, feel free to ask questions in the comments and I'll get back to you. Hey there, Claire Winslow here showing you gel printing with Akua inks today. I'm testing my kind of new gel plate from Gellef and some Akua inks. This is a 16 by 20 plate, so we're jumping up in size for me anyway. We're using Akua inks, which are soy-based, water-soluble inks. They will feel a little bit oily. The main thing with Akua inks is you need to stir them really well before you use them. They also come in a liquid form, and I'm going to show you what that looks like on the plate. When you apply it to the gel plate, especially a new one though, you're going to see that it beads up and resists. It's just pretty watery, which I don't recommend for a newish plate like this. The regular ink though should work well. This is much thicker. This is a cadmium red, and I did apply it directly to the plate though, and you're going to see how thick that is in the middle. Once you do that, it's pretty hard to thin that out now. I decided, since this is a test, I'm just going to go with it, and we'll see what we get. You want to know where you're going to put your paper when you print subsequent colors. So just take a ruler and pencil, measure out the size of your paper. My paper is larger than my plate, so I need to indicate roughly where I'm going to place it. And once you do that, you'll be ready to print your second color. The red is quite dominant and it's super textured due to the fact that I'm using a hard brayer today, which I don't usually do. This is a lot of testing in one go. But I'm going to go with everything that happens. Here's my homemade stencil that I made with my Cricut machine. And if you're interested in that, please watch my video on making a stencil with your Cricut. We're mixing our second color, which is ultramarine blue in the Akua. And this is what I do recommend. Mix it, or thin it out rather, on a piece of plexiglass to the side of your print. Now I'm using hard brayers today to test these, and something weird happening though. It's not covering the whole brayer. I also need more ink than what I'm used to, given that I'm covering a big brayer here in a larger area. Ideally you have ink over the entire brayer and a nice thin layer. And you're going to apply it. You can go from bottom to top or top to bottom, but the main thing is thin layers, not super thick layers, are going to work better with these inks. And I can see I'm trying to cover a lot of area, so I'm not used to that, jumping up to 16 by 20. So I just need a fair amount of ink here. I'm applying it right over the stencil. You can see how translucent it is. So I want the colors to kind of mix on the paper. And now let's lift up the stencil. That red on the plate is already pretty dry, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. You can use your hands or you can use a hard brayer to make sure there's contact between the ink and all the areas of the paper. Let's see what we get with color number 2. Oh, this is interesting. So you can see that the red and the blue kind of mixed together on the paper. It's quite textured due to the marks left by that hard brayer. Now I'm deciding to clean off the plate. This is kind of intuitive, but after you've got a fair amount of ink on there, let's clean it off and start fresh for our last and third color, which is going to be blue-black. I'm going to change the direction of my stencil, but we're using it again. And it doesn't matter if the stencil's a little bit damp here. It won't affect the printing. The main thing is here with the black, you want a thin layer of ink. I'm trying to get ink inside those little tiny holes. It's a little challenging with a hard brayer and the fact that the stencil is a cardstock, which means it's a little bit raised up. So ideally you would get the ink inside the little holes, but we're not going to sweat it too much today. And you can see how translucent that black is. That's what we want. We don't want to just eradicate the colors underneath. We want the black to be kind of overlay and mix on the paper. This one's a little sticky now, the stencil. So rather than put my hands or fingers on the plate and smudge it, I'd rather use a soft tool or gentle tool, not something too sharp. It wants to stick now, so this may take some doing, but we're going to remove the stencil. Remember, the inks are still wet, so you have plenty of time to do this. We got a nice big bold image here. I lost some of the stencil. That's okay. It's cardstock. It's not going to last forever, and I can reprint that. There's some smudgy marks here, which I recommend taking a Q-tip or a rag and just removing, just to make the image a little bit cleaner. Every mark's going to show up on your print, so once you do that, you'll be ready to go. I look forward to seeing what we get here with this third and final color, and ready to print. We've moved our stencil, so it's going to be in a different place. Try to line it up here. It's not exact, but it's close enough. Well, that'll do. And we're printing our final color. And let's see what happens with the black. Oh, hey, cool. Got some contrast, got some texture. I like it. I'm going to show you a bit about cleaning up. If you're using the Akua, all you need is dish soap, a wet sponge, some water in a bucket on the side. I'm cleaning off my plexiglass area here because you're going to use it again. Clean off your brayers. I like to get the excess off first on my scrap paper, and then use a sponge with a little bit of water and a little bit of soap. Same with the plate. You can just use your sponge and dish soap. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.